I recorded a video not too long ago and I was walking through one of my properties and I mentioned in that video that I managed to purchase that property cash. However, the video was titled Never Save Your Money, and I wanted to go ahead and quickly answer a question that was in the comment section because the person said, well, if you're telling us never to save your money and you mentioned that you bought the property cash, this doesn't make sense. How do you manage to buy the property cash if you're not saving your money? So I want to go ahead and speak about how to leverage real estate and also how to leverage your network, right? Because this has been a monumental piece for my success in this business. So I remember when I was just getting started in the business and I had a conversation with my oldest brother, and he actually told me to save up to 10 to 15 grand between myself and my middle brother, Kevin, so that we can purchase our first property. So on the conquest to saving, right, 10 to 15 grand, what I was doing while I was focused on my work was I had headphones and I would listen to podcasts, to audiobooks, and I would also consult with my oldest brother vigorously to understand the process of real estate. During that process, I had a very, very interesting encounter, right, with our boss at the time. My brother and I used to work at the same company, right? And I guess he saw that we were very enthusiastic about real estate. So he actually came up to us and said, hey, I noticed that you guys have a big vision with real estate. If there's any way that I can help, let me know. Fast forward, we had a conversation between us three, myself and my two brothers. And in that conversation, we had this idea where we could potentially utilize him as a private money lender, right? What is a private money lender? A private money lender is somebody that has a bunch of cash, right? And we can come up with terms that is both suitable for him and it's also suitable for us, right? So we ended up coming up with specific terms that ended up making him happy and ended up us receiving the cash so that we can purchase our first property. So the first property that we actually purchased, we used none of our own money and it was financed 100% by this private money investor, right? Now the terms are 100% negotiable. I want to go ahead and just keep that private between us for now. However, I just want to go ahead and say that the terms are completely malleable depending on what you guys agree upon, right? It could be an 8% return, it could be a 10% return, it could be a 12% annual return, right? So for easy numbers, let's just say he lent us $100,000 and he lended us that note on an 8% annual interest. That means that every year we hold on to that note, we're paying him $8,000 because that's 8% of $100,000. However, if we only hold the note for half of that time frame because we're doing a flip, let's say, so we hold that $100,000 note at 8% interest only for 6 months, that only means that we're paying $4,000, right, for the interim of us buying the property, fixing up the property, and then selling the property, right? So all I look at is how much is it going to cost me to borrow money? Because that is a more, you can say, simple equation to solve than the equation of how am I going to save $100,000? How am I going to save $1,000,000? Now, the interesting part is, say this flip goes well. Buy the property for 50, you do $30,000 renovation, you're in it for 70, and then withholding costs and agent fees, you're all in at 100 grand, let's say. And then you end up selling the property for 150,000, right? So you sell the property for 150,000. Now you made $50,000 between yourself and your partners. Now, whether you guys split it or whether you guys have an investment fund that you want to continue to grow and you allocate that $50,000 to another deal, that's 100% up to you. And that is what I mean when I say you don't have to save your money. You just have to have value and other people will invest in you. Just like that specific connection that I had, which could be attributed to my network, was capable of making me thousands of dollars and now millions of dollars, right? So you're always networking, you're always building relationships, you're always educating yourself, you're always sourcing deals, right? There's other loan products that you can utilize like hard money loans, which is backed by the asset. You're letting the bank know, hey, you're collateralizing the asset, and they're more focused on lending you based on the deal than based on your own qualifications as an individual buyer. Now, they do check for credit, experience, and things of that nature. However, they're mainly checking for those things so that they can understand what kind of points they could charge you, how much interest, and if they trust that they can invest in you, your vision, and obviously the product. It's different than a traditional lending where they're checking debt to income ratio. They require a higher credit score and all of these other extensive processes to actually qualify you for the loan. With a hard money loan, they're mainly looking at the deal. Does it make sense? Okay, they're buying it for this much. They do their appraisal, right? Okay, it'll be this much once they're all finished with it based on the comps that we're seeing. So they do a general evaluation of the property, so that then they could feel at ease when they're lending you the money. They understand that should you ever not pay them, right, they have a property that they can now foreclose, take it over, and then either fix it up themselves or sell it, or sell the note to somebody else, or they have an investment there that's actually valuable. So they were willing to lend you based on the deal, right? So there are so many different ways that you can do this. And all I can say is you really just need that one good deal that'll make you some money that then you can carry over that money to your next property and your next property and your next property, right? So the main focus that I will say for everybody that's watching is focus on building your network, right? Always be looking to raise capital. Say somebody has a very busy job, whether he's a dentist or a doctor or an attorney. However, he's open to possibly investing some of the funds for a decent amount of return, possibly a return that could maybe outweigh what he's gaining in the stock market. Possibly he's gaining in the stock market 6%. Perhaps you can provide him 8%, 10%, 12%, 15%. Now, some people may get scared about the percentage that they're giving because they're only focused on the cost that's going out. However, I challenge you to shift your perspective and ask yourself not only what's going out, however, what's coming in. So there's so many different ways to look at it. And what I could say to you is your cash on cash return could actually be infinite and unmeasurable. Why? Because if you manage to get into a property with zero money down, then what is your cash on cash return? If I can go ahead and do a creative financing deal, right, where I'm communicating with the seller about possible seller financing options, and within the terms that I'm negotiating with the seller, I managed to get a bank on board that could allow a junior lien on the property running in conjunction with the lien that they're giving me, which is, let's say, if I'm buying this property for $100,000 and the bank is agreeing to give me 75% loan to value, right? And I have to put a down payment of 25%. I could manage to set up some kind of an arrangement of a seller financing arrangement with the seller where the seller can now help me fund the 20% through a seller finance and create certain terms that in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years, we can pay them back, right? With a balloon payment, interest only loan. So there are so many things that you can do creatively. And we speak about all these different kinds of creative financing and ways that you can leverage your network, ways that you can leverage your real estate, ways that you can pull equity from businesses. There's so many ways to access money. And that's what it really comes down to. What is your access to money? Do you have access to money? Because if it doesn't have to necessarily come from you, it does have to come from somewhere or someone. However, that's the question that I want to ask you. Have you actually worked on your networking skills? Have you educated yourself on your vision, on your idea? Are you capable of selling yourself where other people are willing to get behind you and actually fund your vision because they understand the interest that they can generate for themselves? There's so many ways. And for you to actually be able to succeed in life and in business, you have to think creatively. You have to think outside of the box. You can't just think 1 + 1 is 2, because in business, sometimes 1 + 1 could equal 3, right? So you have to be creative. You have to always be expanding your network, always be collaborating with other individuals, always be looking for deals, always be thinking creatively on how you can finance these deals, because there is a piece of the pie that you can abundantly distribute between everybody that you're capable of collaborating with. So there are so many things that you can do. And that is why I think that saving your money to success or to riches, right, is a stupid fucking idea, right? Right now, do your best to generate as much cash flow and as much income as possible. However, what's really valuable and more valuable than money is your education, your work ethic, your personal values, what you can actually provide, your vision, right? These things are much more worthy than just saving your money. Because if you can also help other people get rich, if you can also find a way to connect this person to the solution of his problems, perhaps being the middleman, right? You know somebody that has the deal, you know somebody that has the money, you connect the two. Maybe it's 3 partners between you, the deal, and the guy that's bringing in the money. And boom, everybody's making money, right? Perhaps you can provide trades, right? Maybe you're good at construction and possibly you can save on cost with labor. There's so many things. However, you got to think about it in terms of the value and the skill sets that you're bringing to the table. Knowledge, relationships, and your ability to execute is way more valuable than having a bunch of money sitting in your bank account.